very different with a huge crowd behind you. So let's see who's going to be the better out of both of these teams. As we get into it, ladies and gentlemen, our first map of the series on Border going live now.
Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Astralis versus XSET. It's Border, North America. Would you have it any other way? We love this map, and we have for a very long time. The Thatcher band's going to come out initially. You already know about the EMP, so we don't have to talk about that too much. XSET, what would you like to do? They're feeling the OSA, and honestly, I agree with that. We've been seeing her quite a bit at this tournament. She's been very potent.
Mainly used for execute utility, or rather execute support, if you want to kind of push it into there, pushing into areas like the lockers room and whatnot, able to get one of those down on the outside. Gives you a good staging ground to fight off against some of those more aggressive peaks from the interiors of the site that can often favor the defenders. That's why we've seen her become a bit of a mainstay here. Obviously, on the other side of that one, we have Mira fulfilling pretty much the same exact role for the defense, so that's going to get banned out. And then Valkyrie as well, still too universally useful for the defense, so she's staying pretty high on the ban pool, despite the nerf that befell her a few months back.
Absolutely, just making it to where she can't throw those cameras outside anymore, and it's definitely slowed down her play just a little bit, but a lot of people still very potent with that MPX. Past that, though, if you guys didn't know, XSET and Astralis, obviously inside of the same region. Everyone here knows that. But the last time they matched up was April 20th, where Astralis took things 8-7 on Villa. Hotly contested overtime with XSET having some very, very good numbers, but just could not get it done in the clutch, where Astralis had them in not only 1vx's, but also plants by a wide margin.
All right, so it's going to be an upstairs hold first coming in here for the Astralis roster. We're taking the expected beginning to start things off with here, but still quite a bit of mobility coming into this lineup, specifically for Iconic. And this is the player that we look to on Astralis here. This is the big man on campus, the star of Astralis in a lot of ways here, who needs to pick up all the big fragging duties throughout the course of this matchup, but he's not necessarily going to be the only one. He's gotten some support. Obviously, the new addition to this team, Forrest, also has added quite a bit of firepower to the roster as well here. So look to him to pick that up from time to time as well. But inside of his role here, will be a little bit more reserved on this defensive side due to him playing into the smoke.
Absolutely. We have a lot to talk about when it comes to two-player statistics on each one of these teams. Most importantly, Iconic, like you were talking about, a 1.35 and a plus 30 KD. Iconic's the highest-rated player at this LAN currently. You know who follows him up? DS Lucas from XSET with a 1.29. It's going to be a slugfest back and forth, folks, and we're here for it.
Slow play from both teams to start this one out. XSET's not going to come booming into the building or anything like that. They do need to investigate first off, so it's heavy drone presence throughout the map here to take the initial control for themselves. Spirix is going to look for passport entry here for not only himself, but Kino and one other member of the XSET roster also toying around with this position. So could see some action befall this position to start the round off. Shuttle, of course, is prepared for that. He's going to route himself back over towards that and kind of be ready to correspond in the event we see XSET throw the pressure in that direction. Still staying very quiet, though, and not taking a whole lot here as they continue to build up intel, but what Astralis' aggression might be looking like. As you can see, they've got a lot of that built up, especially down here on the first floor still, and Iconic gonna make a little bit of a run out, tries to go for a shot, he's gonna land it! Yaga goes down, and Iconic is off to a hot start.
Heard the rappel, and also the rest of Astralis aware of XSET's current position, seemingly, especially around passport. The XSET members have not moved forward in the slightest. It's been Astralis trying to game plan around their aggression, and it's working out handily, but finally DS will capitalize and take down Iconic.
Spirit's looking for another pickup here as well, and he nearly gets himself a potential cross, but instead it's going to be Gomez that locks in on it and evens out the number count back into a 3 versus 3. A lulling moment here for both teams, but Gomez as well, taking some heat. He's got the Finka, unfortunately the Adrenal Surge on cooldown, but only for that split second. He's going to be able to boost himself, and not only himself, his teammates too. Up a little bit more here, giving Spirits and Diaz a little bit of an extra boost as they get ready to fight off their next targets here. It's all gone quiet for a moment though, once again though, because things are so even. Astralis has done a good job delaying this out, especially downstairs, but now XSET are beginning to close in on the site.
Well, that might work out for Astralis at the current moment. There's still some utility to play into this. J90 can stop a few more things being tossed at them, as well as Forrest still has 2 smokes to try and delay this a little while longer. Really what both of these teams right now need is a pick, but the big issue for XSET is that their actual drone utility is dwindling. It's all down to Gomez, but obviously he's in a fight right now with the man inside of Fountain. Back and forth they go. Spirits will hop inside of Radio. Knows that one's more than likely close. The bullets are very wide. Spirits has a chance again. Oh, is he going to drop down? He tries to get it with the skeleton key, and he will. DB Fire will fall into a 2 versus 3 for Astralis.
XSET taking charge of the player advantage, but now they need to carry it forward into the site. The swing from Gomez, but won't connect as J9O holds it off. Spirits will find the immediate trade for that, and it's going to leave Forrest all on his lonesome in the 1v2. He picks up the player, though, and that's not just any player. That's the one carrying the case as Diaz goes down. No immediate response available for Spirits as he tries to work his way in from the archive store instead, but now Forrest's location will be revealed. He's not too worried about that, though, as he's got case control. Spirits needs to make the play for it, and he'll win it as well, shutting down Forrest and giving the opening round to XSET.
Very fortunate read there for Spirits, as there were so many different facets that the defense, especially Forrest, could have used there to try and win out that 1vx, but unfortunately for him, just could not close it out in the 1v2. Now, XSET are going to get away with the initial round after Astralis, with so much strong aggression, gets the early picks, but they just give up too much.
Giving up way too much room in the beginning. Far too many players going down and having to spread out their defensive assets a little bit too thinly there inside of the late round. Not enough to fend off the pressure from XSET. So they come together, they work as a unit, and that gives them the capability to take our first round of the game here. Meanwhile, for Astralis, they're not going to stick around in their upstairs hold. Too much of a risk there with the way that they played it, so they will shift away from it. Head back down onto our first floor inside of Vents and maintain this position instead.
Now let's keep track of what DP Fire wants to do with these castle barricades. This is going to mean quite a lot for XSET, as they're going to have to destroy these with more than likely Yaga or a frag, but definitely more than likely going to be onto Yaga. Don't want to try and burn too many of those nades. Those are practically worth their weight in gold nowadays, especially with the drone game coming in. So Astralis will continue to set up the building. As per usual, they're going to be holding on to every entry point that you really can muster, if possible. Holding on to the top floor, as well as everything over towards like customs and even office. Just trying to make sure this top floor is very difficult for XSET to crack.
So let's see if XSET can get that done now, as they're back out onto the field here. Same very similar lineup. Diaz, though, is going to try to get a handle on this additional roam game that's been really thrown all over the map for Astralis, at least if any round was any indication. So he will bring the Nomad into play, those air jabs being able to block off the rotates, and quite easily as well on this map, just due to the layout of it. There's quite a few choke points where defenders pretty much have to rotate through in order to get back to site, and those will certainly become a target for Diaz's utility. And that's where the congestion of border comes in, and how the offense can punish the defense so harshly. Spirits will begin droning out break. Nobody home right now from Astralis except Shuttle on a cross angle over inside of office. Has a rotate out the triple as well, so he can manage top east, but nobody home there either. Has some of his sensors around, so they'll be at least able to get some audio on people moving throughout the building, and this is going to kill the first minute. XSET, they're bang up job of trying to get some information. Haven't given up the goods just yet. Certainly not the case. Slow build-up continues to be the way that this early round goes between these two teams, as they have so much respect for each other. Obviously, with both coming in from the NAL, they know each other at their own backs here, so they're going to continue to play this very cautiously, just to avoid making those early round mistakes here. Spirits, along with the other members of XSET, continue to wait out on their drone play, but at the same time, Astralis is ready with their own set of utility here. You can see Iconic nice and prepared with this Nitro Cell in the event. We see a more direct push from XSET, and I imagine that Astralis is starting to get maybe a little bit scared of a more direct play, especially because they've lost CCTV control, as we can now see. Three players starting to build up their positions on the outside of lockers, but there's that Nitro from Iconic, sending Kino back down into a death point for this game, but at the same time, Spirits was able to exchange that out by knocking Forrest down elsewhere on the map. Iconic now low, but he's still firing out shots! What a headshot against Young as well to keep him in this fight. He's low, but that doesn't mean he can't pick up more frags here, as he's managed to negotiate himself a second, and he's now been able to dash away further into the locker room. XSET now slowing down, but Spirits needs to hop too. He's gonna hop inside of Archive and try and pick up the frag. He will onto DP Fire, but Iconic still has top hold. Do they know he's over here playing inside of Curve, though? Gomez will shut down Shuttle. I believe that was one of the site players. The Spirits able to get rid of that proximity sensor. Iconic still able to hold on to his life, but Spirits with the skeleton key. He makes mincemeat of Iconic. It's just down to J9O. This was another question we had coming into this matchup, is what kind of performance we were going to be getting out of Spirits here. A huge make or break factor for XSET, and he's making it happen right now. Unfortunately, his road ends here. J9O commits to the flank, takes him down, but it's the same scenario as last round here. Astralis, just one member remaining against basically the world, and XSET, the 1v2 set before him, already taking out the first of three players that weren't alive, but he's got to find a way to work himself back in. Missed the defuse, so he's unfortunately going to miss this Nitro as well. Not a lot of damage coming out from that. As he tries to swing in, XSET are more than ready to take him down, and Diaz secures an easy second round for these boys. They push ahead 2-0 over Astralis.
XSET doing a very good job of maintaining focus on both areas of the map that Astralis were occupying. Not only damaging the site players, but also finally able to shut down the top hold. Obviously, J90 able to finally claim Spirits off the buck, but that really didn't matter. They gave XSET the entire site, and that's really what mattered at the end of the day. They were able to get the plant down and just oversee that instead. Obviously, the defender has to rotate all the way back downstairs. Usually going to be pretty unfortunate for them at the end of the day. You're lacking info, you're lacking really anything at all. Just wildly throws a nitro cell and makes an attempt, but it's all for naught at the end of the day. XSET 2-0 right now as this offense has been clean so far.
Astralis want to continue to get a bit more aggressive inside of this early to mid round. You can see that indicated as well by Forest selection. The Alibi is going to give him that capability to swing around a little bit more. Iconic too, going over towards another new operator as the Legion is now going to be picked up by him, adding those goo mines and hopefully slowing down the initial entries from XSET, giving Astralis as well potentially some of the intel they need to counter off some of that early clear pressure that's really been hurting Astralis here as they've been really unable to control anything inside of the first 2 minutes. They're doing a good job at fighting back once XSET actually enter themselves into the building, start moving themselves a bit closer to the site, but by that point they're usually down by a player or two, and it's just not really possible for them to trade their way towards a win as they seem to be attempting to do here.
Yeah, XSET is doing a lot of fighting outside of the building at the current moment. And the big thing is a lot of the Astralis ops that they've been bringing don't really have access to weapons that can compete at that range. Really, the only thing we've seen is obviously Iconic in behind half wall with an MP5. That's something that can deal some damage at range, but past that's been a lot of close-up SMG play and XSET just exploiting a lot of these different avenues that they have here. They have a secondary hard breach of the buck from Kino on detention. This will pop the wall open. J90 on the receiving end of potentially Gomez's aggression.
Gomez off the drone now to see if he can make the entry himself, but let's see if anybody on XSET's too keen to actually push forward from that position here. The rest of them will move over towards main door instead and begin to possibly lean towards some pressure into the closet as well, since the window sits directly next to that. And indeed, Yaga will now take up that position on the inside. J90 will hear the signal from the other end of this building here, or the other end of the room, that he needs to turn tail and strike back against this entry, but not going to be given an opportunity to do so quickly. The Nitro Cell's just kind of chucked away by him, but another exchange goes off between DP Fire. Spirits picking up 1-2, but J90 a nice snapshot to take down Spirits and stop the bleeding on the defense here. Not going to be able to keep it that way, though, as another volley of frags goes down, but it's into the favor of Astralis now as they keep a +1 advantage.
Well, Yaga on his lonesome over here as DP Fire is, or rather Diaz is upstairs inside of CCTV. He's going to drop down now, though. They're going to try and hold on to Customs. Case will be outside for a time, so somebody will have to go and retrieve that. The site actually tellers. They've made really no progress across this as Astralis has constantly made Customs the battleground. Going to have to try and drone out and attempt to find some more Astralis members, but they're already lacking in drone info as well. They've got 3 drones in their own kits, but also 6 out on the field in general. DP Fire will be able to get 1 more here. Now it's all down to Yaga, who will quickly be killed by DP Fire. You know, the maybe not the best gun. Some would say the worst gun in the game, but it'll still kill you if you hit somebody's head.
Yep, definitely the case. DP Fire on point with the roaming aggression there to try and finish things off quickly against XSET, and more importantly, get Astralis onto the board here. They'll finally lock down control of the site for themselves, exchanging out this 2-1 scoreline. XSET a bit more fearful, possibly, on the next upcoming round. Speaking of which, Astralis are going to lock in their upstairs hold coming in for the 4th round as they try to equalize things. A 2-2 scoreline with some interesting operator picks that we'll be discussing in just a second.
Okay, well, let's look into it, because I was paying attention to the chants that were going on out here. Let's see what the newfound pieces are. It's going to be an old classic here. Bandit coming in, DP Fire. We'll see what they want to use those Bandit batteries for. We don't really see any Bandit tricking go on all that often any longer. We did actually see it a little bit earlier today, but it's more circumstantial than it used to be. It used to be really the only answer for Hard Breach. Hey, just have Bandit sit here, see if you can get a couple of pieces of Hard Breach. But now, throw that curveball every once in a while, you can really get some important pieces of utility that the offense weren't suspecting, and you could run amok of the entire offensive unit where they have to try and funnel into the site now, and it could be extremely problematic, but it looks more or less like DP Fire is just sticking these batteries on things and forcing XSET to clear it.
It's a bit more complicated here, as you were talking about there for Astralis, in terms of how they're going to set up DP Fire's utility. More so trying to block off access to the archives and office area more than anything else. That's where we'll see that deployed towards. And once again, Astralis going to commit a pretty decent amount of pressure downstairs into their initial first floor hold as well here to try to fend off the early clear from XSET. But XSET doesn't seem to be paying a whole lot of mind to that, at least not initially here. They're working their way forward, wanting to clear out the CCTV positions quite quickly, but they will have to somewhat respect these first floor plays. You're seeing Spirits trying to work himself past Passport into Customs now to begin flushing this out.
Absolutely. We're going to have Iconic over on East as well. He'll be playing around the Tellers area. Has a rotation in the side of the single panel here. Shuttle currently rotating to the bottom of Metal, but as you know, anyone's inside of Customs wildly shoots in here, so seemingly aware, maybe just had a sixth sense. Gomez will work in through Beepers. That'll obviously give up some audio, but oh, Iconic almost getting caught off guard here. He's actually going to be able to scamper off that castle barricade set up very nicely so that rotation is possible, and eventually he's just going to go down on Spirits at the top of East. What a great clear from XSET.
Spirits again continuing to be on point for the entry squad here on XSET, and part of the reason why Astralis is struggling so much inside of these first 2 minutes usually, save for that previous round here. Thankfully it's just Iconic going down, and in terms of utility, not a whole lot's going to be lost as it would have already been deployed here. So much worse operators that could have gone down under those circumstances. And as well, a minute and a half has been wasted away from the round, but XSET doesn't seem to be panicking too much about that here. They moved in. Here's a big play from Shuttle, though, as he pops back out from the inside of Vents. He's going to be able to move out, eliminate the entry squad from XSET mainly in Spirits, and even out the numbers yet again. Yaga, though, will push it a step further from our attackers as he takes out J90.
Selma down, TP Fire with a huge miss, one that he desperately needed as well. Yaga actually able to control CCTV at the time. Past that, Astralis not able to fight back just yet. Shuttle trying to make a move. He's walking in East, and he has the kill. That's Case down, but still a minute for XSET to reconcile.
DP Fire down and on the ground, looking to quickly rebound himself here, but definitely not going to be possible with the position he's gone down at. Gomez looking to fire back here. He's found an angle, but is not going to be able to properly execute upon it. Shuttle dodges away from that. Yaga finally getting that last tap he needs onto his opponent. He'll recover the case too, which was the real important goal here for us. Able to sneak back out and find another steal away from that set. It's going to leave Yaga all in his lonesome here with just 30 seconds left to play out the clutch. Does have fairly free access to the site with these rotations. They're going to roll in so quickly. A Toxic Babe was thrown out by Forrest, but obviously, as you guys can see, not going to block him out too much. Yaga knows he needs to take this fight. He's going to try to drive himself towards it after he baits out some presence with this plan. See, he sticks towards it as well. Toxic Babe has gone in. They'll think it would have stuck, but no, he's actually going to get the plant down successfully. Unfortunately, sticks right into the face of one of his opponents here, but it's an instant exchange, out leaving Shuttle alive with plenty of time for the counter defuse and a second round on the board for Astralis.
Well, Iconic the martyr that round, just for Astralis to be able to finally pick up something here on the defense. Fortunately enough, now we're all tied up as XSET will drop 2 rounds to Astralis. Only 2 more to go, though, to see if we potentially keep this teeter-totter moving. XSET able to at least try and vie for some control, but eventually lose it after rotations start coming through from Astralis. Shuttle getting a lot done in that round, especially with that EBR playing it out at range. And XSET punished time and time again. They have to keep a track on where these rotations are coming from. It seems like they have pretty solid info matrix going on. Lots of drones still alive, but just nobody on them at current moments. And getting caught off guard by a lot of these rotations at the moment.
So Astralis starting to feel a little bit more confident about their positioning on the inside of this matchup. Now once again, rotate back down onto a first floor hold here. Same lineup as before, 2. Very similar flare coming back in. Iconic and DP Fire are going to exchange operators around a little bit here with Iconic going back onto the mute, giving him that little bit more freedom to play, and more importantly, the SMG-11, which is a very, very dangerous gun for these aggressive peaks we've been seeing Astralis try to make to find their early impact and knock out some of the initial clears from XSET. A few repicks here, but they are going to be relatively minor in scope, just Spirits switching over from the Buck, so they don't feel that they need the soft breach anymore, especially because it's going to be top-down focus mainly from Yaga there. So instead, they'll go over to the Zofia for that little bit of extra execute utility.
Absolutely, plenty of soft breach in Zophia's kit, as well as some other pieces of that lifeline, like the concussions that can hopefully help you clear out a room as they go off based off of proximity. So Astralis will stick to their guns when it comes to their map control, and forcing XSET to drone out the early parts of the map just to make sure that no Astralis member is flying in the wings for them. Gomez will continue to try and pre-fire and forms an angle for the top east over here, or at least just the balcony for the hallway. Shuttle's just going to hold on to office, though. He doesn't feel as though any aggression here will really help him out, minus just swinging from where he currently is. Just play that cover, send some shots if you do peek, and then get back in before somebody can punish you for doing so. XSET, though, they're confirming things as of right now and just want to make sure that nobody is going to try and take them down as soon as they step inside of break. And as soon as they are able to confirm that, we're more than likely moving to the next step.
With the swing, but he's not ready for the challenge on the other side. Wasn't expecting Iconic to be so ready for that. So instead, he picks up the opening kill here. The MP5K as well, nicely done from him there, knocking him out and leaving no room for a response. Shuttle now elsewhere. He's going to be able to find another free kill, it seems, as he takes down Spirits. That's 0-2 on entries right now for XSET. Not looking good for them here, as you're also going to see a pre-place Nitro go out from Iconic. Just pops a hole in the wall, though. Was hoping to maybe catch some of the players on the other side, but it's not looking like it's going to be the case.
Definitely not, and now a nade coming back, but no, Gomez is going to pocket it. Do they not know he's inside of half wall? Might not be able to confirm this, but he's going to swing wide. Kino to take him down. Astralis still have another body to play around with. This XSET, oh, they're going to punish him for it. Almost has the shots onto Kino, but that AK-12, it's just too strong, and it'll shut him down.
Continuing to see this round come down to the final minute of play. Astralis still have DP fire rotating back up here, and they're not even going to notice Shuttle's position already at the top of that staircase. He knocks out Gomez, gives the player advantage back over to Astralis, and leaves just Kino and DS alive here for the attacking squad. Really split up as well here, thankfully still with case control. Knocking out the issue from the previous rounds, and nicely played by Kino. Walks himself right into a third kill as he catches DP fire mid-rotation.
Extremely unlucky for Astralis, but the 2v2 now. J9O, 0 Nitro cell, no impacts on Shuttle, just discs to be able to try and assist in stopping XSET from throwing any stuns or anything like that at them. But fortunately, none of the XSET operators have anything to do with that. It's all going to be down to gun power and game sense at this moment, unless there's some very hard info that we're not seeing. J9O will be holding down server while Shuttle's prone currently inside of Tellers. Has a rotation hole here, all able to tag up the Twitch, and the Twitch will go down. Can he find the second? Runs out of bullets, but now Kino with the quad. He's going to have to ace to try and pick this up. He's sprinting towards site, but if J9O plays this out properly, he should be able to stay alive, but he swings instead and dices him up. Astralis take the round.
Astralis quickly bounced back into control there, although a valiant attempt coming in from Kino. Despite the role he plays, still one of the most impactful players inside of the fragging department for XSET here. Time and time again, we continue to see that, and the last round was a perfect example of it. Unfortunately, his teammates just not being able to give him enough support there and asking him to pull off too much. The ace will be denied, and Astralis will now take the lead away at 3-2.
Have an opportunity here to go up 4-2 on the defense, and that would bode extremely well for their offensive side. Border, quite the fun when it comes to that offense. You can break a lot of things up, be very forceful with these LMGs nowadays as well as, well, I mean, even past that, the frag game on this map is really, really potent. XSET just has not been able to get things going past the first two rounds that they got. Astralis has made the adjustment, and now they are firing on all cylinders. XSET, it's time to do something here, but it's down to the last round of the half. More than likely not a tack timeout or anything going to happen at this moment. They'd much rather use it later on if they have something else to address when it comes to their defensive side.
It's been very close so far here, so pretty sure both teams still feeling like they stand a pretty good chance inside of this matchup and that their overarching strategies are still working in the current moment. So they're going to continue to play as is. That could change for XSET relatively soon, though, if we see Astralis continue to pull ahead. But again, keep in mind the problem here for XSET. Again, they're not playing with their coach at the moment, so there may be an issue where they're not recognizing patterns they're locking themselves into, where things are not going the way they're supposed to. That pattern recognition is normally going to come from the coaching department, so XSET is going to have to step up a little bit in the in-game leadership department to be able to catch those sort of things and then call a pause when appropriate to correct them.
Absolutely. It's extremely difficult to be doing what you're doing inside of a competitive game like this and keep track of what all four of the rest of your teammates are also doing to try and adjust every little thing and make sure that you can find success, because that's really where it lies, is in those little nitty-gritty details. There's 15 seconds, though, is not too much action, minus getting some holes made inside of detention. They're going to clear and make sure there's no ADSs in there, more than likely a frag coming in soon. Not going to tag up anybody, but it destroys every single piece of utility inside of detention as the wall will now be blown.
Indeed, JL will be opened up for the XSET players to access and push themselves forward into. This is going to be a little tight for Astralis now, but thankfully they still have the vertical control to play with too, so you can see how Iconic will be able to support Forest down below him. Other exchanges that can come out from the other members of this team. This is J9O a little bit further across the way by East Main Stairs here. DP Fire indeed actually engaging inside of that cross, trying to shut these players down, and actually it looks like we have the server frozen, folks, so stick with us. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and live with the round. Let's get into it once again between Astralis and XSET, where Astralis is currently leading only by a single round. We've only got one round left in the half, so let's see if it'll be a team leading our left side or if Astralis will falter here, allowing XSET to tie it up for a second time now. A 3-3 dead heat before we switch sides.
Had some time to think about it as well due to the pause, so hopefully XSET have a better game plan this time around to try and pick up this round from Astralis after their 3-round heater they've been on. A potential to make this a 4-2 half and look really, really strong coming in their offensive side.
Away from that, taking a look at what exactly Astralis is going to deploy towards here. Everything looking pretty straightforward so far, especially the pulling over there towards the 90 angle in the hallway. Spirits, you can see, trying to line up for a nice nade bank over the top here, but unfortunately it's going to get eaten up by an ADS. They have the drone supporting it, but still, another one will be able to bank itself forward, but at the same time, you saw him running up. Forrest with the Nitro shuts down Gomez on the way in, but at the same time, Spirits will get an excellent shot through the floor to take out DP Fire as he tried to shoot back from the top side of Break Room.
Oh, I think they may be going for a swing here again, but Spirits will back off instead. Iconic continue to hold on to 90. Past that, Astralis at the four corners of the earth right now. We have one site player, everyone else strung across the map. J9O, excuse me, currently at the bottom of box. Be holding on to this for a time, but Spirits will now be getting rid of the tension. XSET still just trying to find some more info game. Obviously losing the member early on, especially their Finka, very, very damning for the round as you can't get any extra health.
Kino continuing to maintain his presence on the drone there and scout out the interior of this site, more than likely catching at least a hint of the position from Forrest there as he continues to move his way a little bit deeper to the inside of Customs 2. Spirits, though, now ready to finally commit himself fully to this peak, see if he can find any of the members of Astralis, but they're not giving over anything right now. XSET are having trouble finding a safe path forward here, or a path at least that leads them into a kill, as they desperately try to find the angle that eliminates Forrest or someone else a bit deeper in the site, with the focus definitely being on our Bandit player right now. He'll finally realize that this kitchen's getting a little too hot, so he makes himself out. Unfortunately, though, he'll lose a teammate, too. J9O getting cooked out by Yaga with an aid from down below, giving the advantage to XSET, but not for very long. Iconic racing across the street as he takes down Diaz and evens us back out yet again. Oh no, Forrest, the worst possible timing on this, breaks open the barricade. It goes right into Kino's hands, but Iconic, he's continuing to run all over the map here as he finds another one. Yaga too prepared, though, for the run out from Shuttle. He'll catch him and leave Iconic all on his lonesome in another 1v2 clutch. Will he be able to pull it off? We'll have to find out, as Yaga is already halfway through to the plant. Iconic will now make the transition out through the main door. A single shot nearly takes down Spirits. He's up to a triple. One more to go, and it's against Yaga here. Iconic can get it done. He'll lurk back around to the other side. Yep, just as you said, plenty of time, but he misses him. Thinks he might have transitioned out over here into the inside of Passport. That won't be the case. Second guessing himself. Knows he has to be here, but there's no scope, and Yaga gets the kill instead. We'll see him pick up the round.
So very close. Hey, I can see how many of you wanted that. We have you on camera. You're caught on film, okay? Astralis will get shut down finally, and XSET will be able to balance out these rounds off of the 1v1. They're looking a lot stronger against Astralis, but if anything, this is looking more or less like the last match that we saw between these two. This is looking like it's bulleting towards an overtime.
Definitely the case here, especially with the teeter-totter we seem to be locked into. But we will switch sides now. Teams jumping onto the other end of the spectrum here, and Astralis will be on the attack as a result of that. XSET will be on the defense. Fairly similar operator lineup going to come in, though, for the first hold for XSET as they also go initially towards the upstairs site here. Lots of mitigation coming in, so they don't have to worry about the flood of nades being thrown towards them. They were actually, as well, Kino was flirting with the Tachanka pick, maybe to use that for delay at range, but he has gone back onto the more default pick of Smoke, his usual mainstay operator in these situations.
Yes, indeed, it's going to be Armory Lockers here, so making quite a bit of sense. They're also going to bring some extra mitigation with the Wamai and the Aruni. No Jaeger along for the ride this time around. Mute for the walls as well as the alibi. Just for a little bit of fun with the MX Force Storm as well as those Prismas. Just getting some extra info if anybody does indeed tag those up. So for Astralis out and about for the very first time on the offensive side, Forest is going to be bringing Capitao as well. So fortunate for XSET, they have the counter.
XSET continue to look for a way to soar ahead, and now hopefully a bit of a sigh of relief since they're on the defensive side. They can control the pacing of this game a little bit more here, especially if they want to continue to maintain their early aggressive positioning in areas like CCTV, pressed up against the windows in the south main doorway here, where they can try to negotiate for an opening kill against Astralis. No longer do they have to fear the timing of when they're going to flood in. They control that to some extent now.
Indeed, an Iconic behind the window like he has a Gara hook, but definitely does not. He'll be Finka. They're going to pop the window and a nade will soon follow. See if he catches anything, not a single person in the area to receive. So XSET will stave off one person's elimination unless Diaz ends up getting caught down. Back and forth on the box wall he goes. Doesn't exactly know if he wants to go for this just yet. Has two people on Repel here, so he's a huge potential. He's able to get a kill. Has the laser gate up as well, so nobody able to chuck anything in minus bullets through that. As he has quite a few different angles to worry about. Still has one repelled on his balcony window, but Astralis doesn't want to push too far just yet. Shuttle instead will slip in downstairs with the skeleton key, and this is a fantastic spot to try and abuse verticality.
Had an opportunity to hot drop a player down the hatch actually for a second or two there too, but has now lost that opportunity as he backs away from it. Members of Astralis are starting to work their way into the building. As you can see, DP Fire taking control of Passport. He's not the only one moving forward here. XSET at the same time getting prepared to fend off this aggression. And oh, it's just too easy for Yaga. Iconic walks right into the breach towards CCTV. Either wasn't checked or he was focused on something else. And now he goes down as a result of that, giving XSET the opening advantage here again.
Well, Astralis going to slow things down after Iconic goes. Oh, this drone game out the window already. 3 up, now make it 2, as they only have 1 inside of their pocket as well. Make it 1. No info game for Astralis to go off of. They're flying blind. Shuttle will have to even jump off of the balcony due to XSET, as Kino will take down Forest. DP Fire fires back, though, and at least keeps them inside the same ballpark. It's 4-3.
Kino gonna miss an opportunity to cross out a player here, but he wants it back. Unfortunately, not gonna be able to get it as J9O beats him out in the 1v1 here. That should be case control, and indeed it is, going back into the hands of Astralis, as well as another evened out round into a 3v3 as we reach the final 30 seconds of play. Yaga now ready to wrap back in, and he catches DP Fire unawares as well. Another free pickup for him as he continues to harass this assault from Astralis, and they just can't seem to get a handle onto him. 15 seconds remaining. Astralis will negotiate an up positioning on the inside of Archives to start their plant, but at the same time, Gomez will just swing it, knocking out both players and giving XSET the lead.
The patience from XSET in that round gifts it over to them, as Astralis have no idea what's going on in multiple different parts of this map, and it all starts here with Yaga. Nobody knows that he's bookshelf. He gets a freebie onto Iconic. Yeah, they're able to try and equalize, but past that, XSET are still making plays, and it's Yaga yet again to get a big kill inside of CCTV. XSET have got to be very, very happy about the current scoreline, as they'll go up 4-3.
Another shift from our defenders as XSET will lock that one down and move over to the inside of the Teller's defense now. For a lot of the North American teams, this is that secondary go-to point where they shift towards the other ones, where things get a bit more dodgy for our defenders. The lineup going to remain somewhat similar, but a couple thematic changes do come in. Notably, Kino going away from the delay ops over towards a castle. The Oryx being swapped in for Gomez, and Yaga as well, throwing the leash of those goo mines in, so teams won't be able to hop right to the site and get an easy plant going, but also plenty of other benefits aside from that for Yaga as well.
Absolutely. And Forest. Oh, thank you for pointing that out, John. One of my favorite things to see on the offense nowadays. Nook, we brought to the table. Sledge as well for Shuttles. They'll recognize that verticality will play pretty handedly into this situation, as it will be Tellers as well as Bathroom for this one. Forrest more than likely to have a hand. Obviously a more sneaky note here, as he'll be able to slip past the cameras and everything else when it comes to audio. So see if he could potentially run into one of Yaga's traps. That'd be the big death nail for him if it does happen. So now some repels coming out here. Yaga with the potential to grab a hold of one, but nothing coming to him just yet.
Patiently waiting for that first opportunity, has that little insurance goo line, as you can see sitting in front of him too, in the event that he gets distracted by Like an archives push here, needs to swing the other direction. That'll help him out to know when to swing back if an opponent tries to push him from both ends. Forrest, though, is going to be one of the players to truly attempt to do this. The drone will distract our player up on top, and they'll wrap into the relative safety of the inside of CCTV. Not going to stay that way for very long, however. Forrest waltzes right up and says bye-bye to Spirits, as it's finally a clean opener for Astralis now as they push it 5v4.
Incredible timing there for Forrest as he slinks up metal, a frag grenade out, and Yaga's dead to Iconic. Astralis, they're starting to heat up. Charlotte, can you hear them? As Iconic will take down yet another.
Iconic gonna see if he can get even one more. Another player still waiting over here closer to East Main. And indeed, in position to somewhat challenge. The nade getting cooked for it, but they're gonna back up. They'll be getting away from that. Diaz, a smart choice in the long run here, especially now that he hears that nade go up behind him. But ultimately, it's probably not gonna end up mattering much, as Kino, he's already been lost. Diaz is alone here. He's gotta fend off the entire Astralis roster, and he won't be able to take down a single one. A fourth kill goes on the board for Iconic, and Astralis bounce right back into a tie position at 4-4.
What a round for Astralis. The building blocks right off rip from Forrest. Fantastic drone info coming through, knowing exactly the positioning of Spirits at that moment and slipping through the cracks for the player who was managing metal at the time. Astralis, specifically Iconic, starting to heat up.
His teammates laughing about it there. They can hear him screaming into his mic, probably inside of the team speak. So Iconic popping off, and for good reason too. A fantastic round showing up for him there. Was missing him a little bit, was seeing him obviously still lead the charge for his team. As you can see, obviously we have the rehost, so these stats aren't complete, but on top, it's 6-2, but that doesn't necessarily tell the full story. A little bit more hit or miss here, only a kill or two, but that round finally changing up his own fate and bringing that massive contribution that we know him to do for this roster.
This is how strong of a gun that is for Finka as well. Iconic not even having to reload throughout all of that, just gunning down XSET member after XSET member until they're all gone. You get the equalizer 4-4, and I mean, we talked about it previously, but this is looking more and more like an overtime the closer we get to match point.
This is only map number 1. We've got Oregon coming up next as well.
And then Skyscraper.
Yeah, the real curveball there. So we're gonna have to see how our teams will be prepared, because that could get real wild with how little it's been rehearsed, in officials at least, for both of these teams.
Yeah, just for Astralis, I'm pretty sure the only time that we saw them play it was up against the Sonics at the very beginning of the NAL. So past that, really nothing going on, minus, you know, their scrims, and we don't get to see those.
As the analyst just mentioned, there was one play for one of these teams as well against Liquid back in the groups, where actually ended up faring fairly well. So XSET might be a little bit better off there picking into it, and they might actually be somewhat secretly prepared here, as they kept it in their pocket, saving it for the bitter end of groups and coming here into the playoffs now. But either way, we are already 45 seconds into the action phase of the round. Astralis beginning to focus more so on their utility and intel here, so we can see Shuttle just going down the speedway to get himself a little bit deeper into the building and make sure that there's not going to be any first floor roam presence looking to interfere with these initial entries that Astralis will try to go for inside of Passport.
Yeah, the south side of the map right now for XSET is barren. There is nobody home around stock or anything of the sort. The nearest player to this space is actually all the way up in CCTV at the current moment. They have some other people around the area, obviously one inside of Armory and one inside of Fountain, but past that, XSET are trying to stick to their site control. This could give up quite a bit of early map to Astralis, especially on the bottom floor. But it's really about what they do about this top hold and how XSET has held influence over the bottom site with this.
Jane, I know continuing to move forward, and he may very well have himself an opportunity here soon to find impact. His teammates have already pinged out the CCTV player, and Spirits is just not ready for the engagement. Good drone utilization there. They keep it far enough away so as not to alert him. And elsewhere also, we'll see Yaga trade that back to be able to take down Iconic. That's a pretty big player going down too. For the reasons we just mentioned, the Finka, she can be so useful both inside of the entry department, but especially in the utility department. Those heals are massive, and the nades too can be a massive boost to the attacker's utility. Forrest, though, quickly correcting and finishing off Spirits. We will lock in that 4v4.
Yes, we will. With a minute remaining, Astralis must hop too. They do have some drones to go into this, so should have some extra time here. But now Diaz, miscalculation from Astralis. They'll put the Selma down, but at what cost? Well, it seems to be DP fire. Forrest now looking for the frag. Does he find it? He will, and so will J9. Yaga fends them off, though, with his double kill. It's down to the 2 versus 2. Shuttle has to try and collapse on this, though, as he has oversight for Forrest, who's currently planning inside of the the smoke.
find him, no.
Gomez can't find him, and that's going to be the plan as we go into post.
Yaga quickly looking to intercept the players after they get themselves off the diffuser plant. They'll succeed in doing so. Yaga just going huge here, shutting down both the members of Astralis, looking to clutch out the 2v2, and outright denying it, as once again, XSET will take the lead here, being the first to go ahead at 5-4. Just 2 rounds to go, and the map is theirs.
Since the re-host, the Midwest man has been 9-1. Yaga is taking it to Astralis at the moment. They'll go up 5-4, but I'm assuming Astralis has a response here.
Certainly would be the trend historically, so let's see if they'll be able to pull it off once more, as obviously XSET will relocate yet again there, and you can see the happiness coming out of XSET if they close that one down. We're heading upstairs for one more try, as XSET will look to take control of the Armory and Archive site one more time, and with a very similar layout of operators here. But before we get into that, as you guys can see on the top right of the screen, Astralis have called the timeout. Call out has some input here for the team to course correct and see how they might still be able to take control of this first map on Border.
It's been very hard fought for them, especially that last round. Yaga getting away with so very much. It seemed like Astralis had a pretty solid game plan, but when somebody constantly runs around and takes away your chess pieces, it makes things a lot more difficult, especially inside of that 2v2 where we saw Yaga just pop off. But now, speaking of XSET, they're going to be heading to Bathroom Tellers after we get the last bit of input there from Callout. Obviously, that gives XSET some time to discuss what they want to do as well. And honestly, I think that this is going to be a site switch up for them. So as we get back in, we'll talk about this. If you guys look to the right-hand side of your screen, all of the operators that are grayed out on the other side of the arrow, that's something that XSET was looking at inside of the pick phase that they later picked off of inside of that same phase and grabbed something else. So they more than likely went away from one strategy on the site and went over here and adopted this.
So there's going to be one more repick coming in from the attacking side as well, and it's a somewhat familiar one if you were paying attention a few rounds back. Forest, once again, going to surprise us by switching over into the Nook and bringing that into play, removing a hard breach from the table and actually completely removing it now, too, as DP Fire will also switch away from the Ace onto a Nomad. No secondary hard breach either, so Astralis is going to take a small risk in that department. Thankfully, on a Teller's attack, it's not necessarily going to be needed here, so they should be able to get away with it without too much of an issue.
Indeed, Yaga, he dedicated towards Armory at the current moment. Gumine in for Archive, just for an audio cue, as well as some damage off on anybody that happens to step into it. Some castle barricades up in the main hall. That's something we've been seeing quite often here on Border. Dark grenades out, just trying to clear up any utility they have outside on the actual balcony, but doesn't seem to be too much unless Yaga applied a Gumine outside. Has an extra impact, so he can indeed get rid of this mini hatch whenever he seemingly wants to, but just has it open for, or rather ping just for a time. Seeing if the XSET member can potentially help him with a shotgun or something along those lines. As for Astralis, though, they're starting to wrap around this top floor, so this could start to be some hot water for Yaga as the shots start to come in.
Spirit's unable to assist, unfortunately, as the breaches haven't been made properly. He's trying to watch out more so for South Main, and you can see the rotations have aligned himself for that specifically here. It's again more of a time-wasting mechanism than anything. They weren't expecting an outright crunch to come in against players like Iconic. Spirits tries to challenge for the South Main door directly, but is going to end up on pretty much the losing end of that fight. Him and Yaga now both inside of a hot spot. For Spirits' sake, he's not going to survive for very long. Iconic takes him down. Forrest will now make the entry forward, trying to clear things out inside of Archives. J9 already has the crunch from Archives too. This is swift from Astralis to make sure they're not wasting extra time with this clear.
XSET still with some very solid positioning across the map. Still have a hold of Break for that instance. Diaz actually hop off as Kino will take down Forrest. Gomez still around the area though, as Astralis has simply been boxed out of the building. Nice dash here from Gomez will keep him safe, but somebody's hopped inside with him if he's not aware, but oh, he will be as he swings onto Iconic. DP Fire will take down Kino though, so we'll stay relatively even.
Once again, man, these teams just cannot escape the dead heat mid-round. They constantly are getting locked into. Another even fight here in the final minutes of the round is going to spread our defense out quite a bit, but they're trying to recenter themselves as quickly as they can closer to that Teller's site. Astralis, in the meanwhile, have the entire upstairs floor to work with here, can roam around so much and have all that freedom to play into it. They've kept one of their attackers downstairs ready to execute into the site. And that's going to put all that extra pressure onto Diaz here, as he's realistically the one who has to stop this, while also watching out for all the pitfalls that would come through on the top-down angles.
Just to remind you guys, this is indeed an Astralis pick, so we're expecting them to take this map, but as we look more and more at it, it seems like XSET has the potential to close things out and potentially get match point right here, but DP Fire, he's sticking to his gun. Shuttle, he has the Overwatch, and so does J9O. It's down to Yaga in the 1 versus 3. Upside down repel adopted, and J9O with 2. Astralis will tie it up yet again.
XSET, unfortunately, giving over way too much freedom of movement to the players on Astralis once we have been brought down to a 3v3 there. So considering that, they set themselves up for a post-plant before they were even starting the plant to begin with. And the second that case had gone down on the ground, it was nigh impossible for XSET to work their way back in unless they had additional players that could fend off that upstairs hold. It just wasn't realistically going to happen. So Astralis, really solid play from them, especially the positioning department, to take control of yet another exchange round to lock us in at 5-all now.
We'll see if we get anything extra out of these two. I'm feeling overtime, I know that, but we'll have to see. Somebody's got to reach match point first, but something has to give for that to happen. Also, folks, if you didn't know, we have some amazing skins for both of these teams in game, so make sure you go in and check out all of our esports skins and pick up any of them. We support these teams directly, so you can always give them a nice paycheck if you want to. Plus, the skins look really, really nice. And past that, though, only 15 seconds remain here until Astralis is out on the board. XSET will be on the top floor yet again here for an armory defense, and this is looking very, very similar to what they brought the last time.
There we go. Members of Astralis will be spotting out in the second. Farsh is going to hard commit himself to the Nook this time as well. No need for tricks and trying to sneak it in on the repick. Shuttle will try to do that with a sledge, but that's not going to be anything earth-shattering for the members of XSET to adjust towards. You pretty much expect him to come into play on most rounds nowadays, so they will probably read into that well in advance here. As they're just finishing up, then redecorating, mostly opening up the rotate here. They will need to be able to open up a path forward for the CCTV, rotated extra. Magnet will be thrown in by the Wamai as well to support the position of Yaga, playing from the inside here.
Well, now, so Astralis is droning out the building, whereas Forrest is more on a direct route here. He's going to check his drone here for just a split second. Turns off the health sensor and see if he can slip in through customs. He'll be able to do so. Goes for beeper side, and see if he actually ends up being discovered. Yaga seemingly aware there's an Astralis member outside of the break door, but nobody willing to challenge him just yet. XSET want to try and delay out for an extended period of time here, but they might lose a body. Frag grenade more than likely not going to catch anyone. A little scary there for a split second as it bounces back towards Forrest, but it won't deal any damage to him.
Forrest priming the second one, hoping there's going to be someone up on top metal stairs beepers, but again, mistargeted. Not going to be able to lock anyone down here. Shuttle will attempt to do it one more time. The hatch is open, but Shuttle reads into it. He catches Yaga, falling back down to earth and knocks him out to give Astralis not only the opener, but 2 more on top of that. It's flicking the default cam because why not at this point? Forrest, beautifully shot there. 2 more kills going into Astralis' pocket, leaving just Gomez and Kino to fight off the entirety of the attacking roster.
Forrest showing us his athleticism inside of that moment, even onto a default cam. It's up to XSET in a 2 versus 5 to try and keep this teeter-totter going. Les Astralis will take the lead. A huge kill from J9O, and it's on the lifeline of all things. It's down to a lone soul. It's Kino to try and win it out. Currently inside of break. He challenges back out towards east, but he's got predators on both ends. One east stairs, one on metal. Pre-fire through, no, goes for the challenge. Dips back in, goes for it yet again. Knows one's here, continues to try and apply the pressure. Has the shotgun out, but it's going to give Forrest plenty of time to slip in behind him. And Astralis will take the lead 6-5.
4 members of Astralis. They will finally break the chain, break the teeter-totter they've been going back and forth on here, and take away the leading round from the members of XSET. They've only got one opportunity to end it inside of regulation, though. It's going to be here and now. So XSET will finally utilize their tactical pause, as Kino has got some things to say.
Now we'll see what they want to go for here. I mean, XSET, the strategies had been working initially, but now Astralis has really changed up their game plan. They've been quite decisive with this play, especially with the Nook. They've been getting away with so much, especially for Forrest's sake. That round there, obviously a highlight reel for him, but past that, Astralis building up around him really made that round what it was. Constantly applying pressure to these XSET members and making it to where they're not really allowed to escape the area in which they're playing. So it forces XSET's hand as they try and just challenge things out against Astralis, and they die time and time again. But now XSET, fortunately enough, since they do have that tactical timeout, they're able to take some time and discuss this. We'll have to see what the adjustments are as we're getting back into game. Now, ventilation will be the site.
The interesting thing with the Nook play from Forest, too, is they aren't even really trying to hide it anymore. They've 6-picked it in the first attempt, but ever since then, Forest has just been walking directly towards it. He's finally going to move away from it now, so psyching out the XSET roster a little bit as they may potentially still expect it because of the previous round here, but he's finally going to give it up and instead bring the necessary hard breach in order to get themselves into the site. So he will go over towards the Thermite. DP Fire will be on backup, of course, on the Ace here. And aside from that, an expected volley of attacker utility with the Finka being the highlight of it still for Iconic.
Yeah, XSET was bringing a really solid lineup to try and deny anybody from sneaking into sight anyways. You were going to have the Goo Mines as well as the Banshees, so he wasn't sneaking past any of that when it came down to it. But except for that, Astralis will be bringing the Thermite, as you said, some extra hard breach along with the Ace. Also Shuttle picking up Sledge there on the tail end. The LED-5 always a strong weapon, especially with the frag grenades that Sledge brings. XSET looking for some early aggression. It's going to be Gomez on a Pixel as he'll dash across the hallway and back into office before he gets gunned down for his positioning.
Gomez just sprinting through here, wants to open up a bit of a run for Spirits. Might have to move out of the way there. Yep, just get that done real quick. So Gomez will open up the path forward here for Spirits to play a little bit deeper into the inside of CCTV to continue wasting time here, opening up the top downs too, but I'm going to be honest, those probably won't be able to be used as we're already kind of past that point for Astralis. They've opened up jail. They're going to be moving in and taking control of it probably at some point in the next 30 seconds or so, or at minimum, using the pressure they have from the breach to force Iconic towards the outside here. Their drone presence, though, not working out so well to begin. As you can see, Mute Jammer's blocking the path forward, and at least one drone has succumbed to that.
Forest attempt to drone out the rest of CCTV. They have to worry about a singular player upstairs, but past that for XSET, the southwest side of the map is completely empty, including vents. It's all upstairs inside of things like CCTV as well as armory. We see the current gentleman sitting right next to the door. Astralis measure twice, cut once type of play here, as they're not trying to oversell. XSET obviously has the potential to punish them quite hard, especially for Yaga's sake, as he's practically been the crux of everything that's been going on for XSET at the current moment. If they're able to get rid of him, they're more than likely going to win this 7-5.
Either way, both teams giving each other a heck of a lot of respect right now. XSET wanting to, again, maintain the extended positions they've already bunkered down for themselves, but not really push anything beyond that. Shuttle, so possibly missing one of the members of XSET, working their way back downstairs here as he drones back around it, but also good potential that he caught it too, and it definitely seems like it's a ladder of that. But regardless, XSET will find the first frag, but they may not be able to stop the actual play. And this is what we were talking about before. XSET may get the kills, but Astralis tends to get the rounds.
No.
However, denied at the final second there. Beautiful switch up from Yaga to take Forest down and throw the case back down with it here. Gomez as well, putting another member of Astralis into the dirt here, and Spirits continues the rampage. XSET are holding on. Overtime certainly is in the cards now as Iconic's alone in the 1v4 as he attempts to start this clutch with a good first down against Spirits, but now they know where he is. They know which way he's moving towards as well here. The bulletproof once again confirming, and finally he'll be shot in the back, tries to get the adrenal surge up, but it's far too late, and the 6-6 will be locked in.
Yaga has been so strong for XSET at the current moment. Seems like he always has the opener up against Astralis, and at the current moment, he's already in double digits as we enter overtime. It's a dead heat, 6-6. We'll have Astralis starting off on offense yet again here, but it doesn't really seem like there's any side that's currently favored.
Yeah, both teams know each other so well here, so there's not any huge advantage to be gained from playing on the alternative side here, just because of the rounds teeter-tottering so much, as we saw there, even with Astralis finally breaking through, able to breach this one-round curse that both teams have been locked into. It wasn't enough. With XSET's pause, they were able to come up with a winning strategy of their own to fall back upon here inside of the vents to waste enough of the time from Astralis, force them into gunfights where they were going to lose, and ultimately lock in that 6th and final round they needed to push us towards overtime.
Yes, indeed. And, well, would it be overtime or really the beginning of anything on a defensive end of border if you didn't go to Armory first? That's the real question. XSET, that's where we're going to allocate ourselves for the time. Going to get rid of the Oryx inside of the pick phase, pick up the Mute instead. Definitely a better pick. Oryx, obviously quite the fun op. You can hop through hatches, have some really strong flanks, as well as do what you've seen other these squads do. Dash around the map and get out of dodge a lot easier. But Mute's going to be able to hold up walls as well as damage the info game of Astralis, and in my book, that's quite strong against them at the current moment.
So, XSET has the defensive edge here as we move into overtime, but will they be able to utilize it properly? As we were just seeing from Astralis, they have great capability to clear out this extended game and, more importantly, give themselves an easier time getting into the site. But XSET as well, learning their lesson, cooling off the aggression somewhat slightly here, and using it more as a capability to waste time than anything else. They're forcing Astralis into uncomfortable positions where they may just not be able to get their job done. Gomez, however, still wants to lean in for a bit of aggression here as he'll swing himself over towards the main door. Yaga will still be your go-to player to maintain presence here inside of CCTV, though, and fend off the initial jail clear should Astralis have went for one. However, from the silhouettes here, it's not looking like that's going to be the case here. DP Fire instead creeping up over towards South Main.
Well, Yaga is going to have some help from Spirits inside of the main hallway. 90 starting to get chewed up by these Selmas now, but that should be destroyed quite handily. Yes, Yaga will be able to clear that out. Default Cam will get shot from Shuttle, but not too much happening past that. It's been a lot of utility exchange as well as vying for map control, but neither one wanting to give the other an inch. XSET not overextending. Astralis not trying to send it just yet. There's still plenty of time here, and why we want to try and muddy things early. Drone in from Forrest. That was the Twitch drone that was on the roof that he was using early on to find some info, but instead he'll now hightail it into the building to see if he can potentially find anyone, and he will inside of 90 hallway. It's going to be the old my again of Spirits as he'll scamper off.
Forrest also looking for the appropriate opportunity to get himself into the building, and they will try to look for that as DP Fire begins to lean in over here towards East Main, careful of the potential catwalk presence that may be positioned there from the XSET members, but there's nothing really to be feared here. They'll need to get another drone in to confirm that. It's all centered much more around the site, as well as the archives and office area. They're running out of time to properly clear it. This position from Shuttle could serve to help it out, and DP Fire as well, trying to chase down one of these players. They're actually not going to kill anyone. They're going to go directly for the archives plant. Nitro in, but it's way off the mark. It's a deep plant, and even better for the members of Astralis. Iconic's got an opener with a frag. Gomez, he'll move forward, take down the player outside of the archives window, but Forrest can now take up that position with him having planted the case. This is going to be such a rough retake for XSET again, because Astralis have done the same thing they did on a Teller's push a few rounds back. They set themselves up for the post plant as they were getting themselves in to do it here, but what a run out! Spirits and Yaga both making impossible impacts here. They're on the counter defuse all of a sudden.
Ow!
Spirits brings it down to one, and Shuttle cannot maintain at the beepers. XSET go up on map point first.
There is no way that XSET should have been able to win that with how things were set up. You have a player on balcony, a player on AC. So many people having their eyes trained on that position, but still XSET just dry swinging these windows and these angles without every single engagement. John, that's not supposed to happen.
Not supposed to happen
Not
at
supposed
all.
to happen.
I thought the round was done for with those positions that members of Astralis had, but no, it wasn't the case. XSET refused to go down without a fight, and they pick up that opening round.
Well, XSET has the opportunity to close it out, and I mean, my God. Look at Yaga's score right now. 12-3-1 with one OBJ plant, or rather diffuse, that he got on the defensive end when he ended up winning that nice clutch with one of his teammates. So, past that, XSET now have the opportunity to close us out. Astralis, not going to be starting things on defense yet. Again here for the very first time in a little while. And, well, where do they choose to go, John? It's going to be vents here, and it's looking quite straightforward to what we've seen previously, especially with DP Fire coming in with these castle barricades.
It's a massive surge to Yaga's performance just to continue that point for a little bit here. Coming into this team as well, obviously, a bit of a highlight for due to his performance on OXG and his attachment to Kino coming over towards this roster, but a little bit hit or miss, I would say, inside of the NAL season. Never really the talk of the team necessarily in post-match discussions, but in this game, it's got to be the case here because he is making up the difference that is pushing XSET forward, allowing them to still potentially stand a chance in taking away Astralis' map pick here on Border.
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure that the rest of XSET would have a lot more kills if, you know, Yaga allowed them to have them. That's the big thing, is he's just got a bigger bucket. He just keeps dropping them in there. Yaga will hold on to the wall for a time, though. Forrest not going to challenge this, as he's just going to hold things around mini. He's got a deployable shield set up here. He is not moving. It is deadlocked with this mute jammer, as well as some electrification on the wall to make sure that nobody can get easy access to mini. Yaga will connect to the two buildings in kind of a makeshift way, just sledging these back and forth so they have some pretty equal rotates, but this could also work for the defense if they end up clearing out this area. But speaking of clearing, Yaga start moving forward here, and this could get a little risky. The smoke in play. Yaga playing right on the edge of this. Iconic has a Nitro Cell out as he's in tow with Forest. Again, just like our last round, nobody looking to challenge just yet.
Yaga does have support from one player here. The swing comes in. The Nitro toss is going to be way too late. Yaga's long gone from that. And we can see the support system that's been set up for Yaga a little bit better as we take a look from that top-down view. This nade, oh, this could be dangerous. It's going to get chucked in. They might have been aware of it, though. They started to back away. They knew something was up, so they got themselves out of dodge from that potential nade toss. It's going to come in later, and oh, it actually sneaks over to Iconic somehow. Despite him being behind the lockers there, still an opportunity for them to bring him back up, and Forrest will indeed confirm that. Forrest as well, back over to Mini, where he's got safe harbor to fight the rest of this out, but oh no, what is this? Gomez, he's going to walk right in. They have no idea this flight's alive, but no, they escape to Mini yet again, and the support comes in from Shuttle here. Kino responds by taking him out, but at the same time, there's still that additional player on the inside of Mini here, and they have no easy way to flush them down just yet.
Astralis, they've made it out alive. You thought the crunch would work from XSET, but now it's all going to the wayside. Astralis, can you make this stand in a 4 versus 4? Still have some hard breach to use for Kino's sake, but not enough to break open a hatch. You need 2 of those. But with a breaching charge, you can make some verticality and get a kill. They're going to take the man advantage yet again. He'll get rid of that mute jammer as well. Astralis, they have to play this so very close to the chest, especially with Iconic's HP.
Yeah, scanning over the wood panels down below by main door. I thought it might have been him to pick up that kill, but instead it is Kino with another one here. J9O surprises against Spirits, but he's got 3 more players to take out here, and he'll only have the support coming in for DP Fire. No, Kino cannot maintain against J9O. He'll walk right back in. That's the players evened out yet again, and the Insight presence now gone. Yaga, though, still maintains himself upstairs presence here inside of lockers, and he'll fend off at least the first player trying to retake. The second, though, will get their revenge. J9O knows he's no longer a threat, so we'll go and get ready for the drop into the site. But Diaz as well on the outside. This will be such a tough battle to coerce from him. He should be able to close this down, or at minimum waste the time. Down to 8 seconds. J9O had an opportunity there, but it's been wasted. Tries to run it out now, but that's it. 2 more seconds to get it. He did actually jump onto the case in time. Diaz, he's got to chase down this kill, but as long as he can get in a position to do it, will you do it in time? Yes, he will! And XSET will take the first map.
XSET with the dub on Astralis' map pick here on Border. It's an 8-6 victory for them as
Oregon will be on the docket for our very next map. No coach, no problem for XSET as they win out the first map.
They continue to carry forward inside of this tournament. The story continues for one of the youngest rosters here at Charlotte today, getting closer and closer to a semifinal position. Just 1 map separates them from it, and even better, it's their own map pick. So ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go to a short break when we get that map ready. Stick with us, and we'll be back in just a few.